All right. I'm not going to bore you with going through the box and taking every piece out. What you see is what comes in this box for my new E200 Eachine collective pitch scale helicopter. You get the manual, the user manual. You get the manual for the radio, a wall adapter. This is for 110. There's also an adapter for 220. You get the charger for the battery. There are two Lipo batteries that came with mine. They are the bespoke type batteries, 3-cell each, 30C. They're made specific to this helicopter. There are lots of opinions about these batteries, but I'm going to just take it as is for now. I would have really liked to see just the regular battery being fit in here, but this is what they've provided. So we're not going to fight that battle here. In addition, you have 4 blades, 4 spares for this helicopter. You have a spare rotor blade. You have some screws that will come in handy because these are not standard. They're tiny screws. And you get a screwdriver, a Phillips head that fits those screws, and an Allen wrench. And also there's a Lipo, LED light that fits on the battery. Make sure the polarity is right. It fits right on there. And it slides on here. Basically, it fits under the helicopter. This is basically what's in the package. And what I'll do next is go through and show you the helicopter and the radio. Let's look at the user manual. Like anything new, I highly recommend you guys going through the manual and reading it and understanding what the helicopter is about. This is a collective pitch helicopter, so you really need to understand how it operates. It is kind of dangerous. This is spinning at very high RPM, and you need to really understand how it operates. So this manual basically talks about the basics of what you do with the batteries. The batteries are also Lipo batteries, again, sort of dangerous if you don't know how they operate. So you have to understand how that is. Then you have it tells you how you put the battery inside the helicopter, okay? And it shows you how this light comes off and on, as I showed you earlier. It comes off like that, right? And then tells you how to bind it to the transmitter. And what's important here is in the transmitter, you have to make sure you have the throttle curve and the pitch curves. And it lists the recommended normal and 3D idle up values for both the throttle curve and the pitch curve. Okay, so this is basically, I think, what they've tested the helicopter on, and basically it's helping you start with a nice setup. And then it also has a basic explanation of the radio, but then there's a detailed radio manual here. I'll show you the radio in a few minutes, but you need to go through all these. And then it also explains the flight control box. I will show you that on the helicopter when we look at it. There's a troubleshooting table here and a exploded view diagram of the parts of the helicopter and a bunch of information on the parts, what they look like, and their part numbers. Can be handy. So anyhow, just take a look at this as well as the radio manual. It's for their generic E6 radio. I'll show you the radio next. The radio is their typical E6 radio. You can turn it on by pressing this button here. Okay, and you see it lights up. So if you hold this function button, you can access the controls. But let me first say what the buttons are. This is your normal mode and 3D idle up button. This is your 6G and 3D mode button. 6G is your gyro, like beginner's mode. And then 3D is the more agile mode. This is your high rate and low rates. This is high rates, that's low rates. And then this is your throttle cut. So then you have your aileron, elevator, throttle, and rudder. And these are obviously your trims. So if I hold the button here, the function mode, you can get into the menu. Right now that's reverse, so you can reverse any one of these. If I press, then you can select this by scrolling up and down. So that's dual rate, expo, throttle curve, pitch curve, gyro, model select, model type, swash type, and it's got the different types. So if you want to get into any one of these, you can basically just press the function and this flashes, and then you can use the select to go up or down. If you need any more details, go through the manual. This explains everything in every portion of it, okay? Okay, now the helicopter. As you may have seen on other videos, this is a beautiful helicopter. Very, very pretty. The unique aspect of this helicopter is that it's a direct drive. It has no gear. So there's a motor here, brushless motor here, and then a brushless motor at the tail. And this is kind of revolutionary. There's no torque tube, there's no belts, there's no gears. So it's very efficient. It's also a collective pitch helicopter, which means the pitch changes as needed, okay? So the doors open. There are many videos out there on this, but I'm gonna say the same things for you guys so that you see it. There's excellent scale fidelity. You got rivets on here. You have lights. You have a light here. You have a light up here. You have a light here that basically, if it's flashing, it means that you're low battery. There's a navigation light, a green one on this side and a red one on this side. Both doors open on both sides. There's a shock absorber. It's a spring-loaded strut. That's what it is. But you got to be careful also. There's a lot of scale items on this that could break. Antennas, wire cutters. There's a very beautiful, you know, the details are evident. You know, they have the wiper blades. Forgot what that was for a second. And they have this antenna in the back. So lots of details. And the wheels obviously turn, both the front and the back. The only thing that I've noticed that's you got to watch out for, the back. This is it's prone to breaking. It's held together by one screw, and just be careful handling it. The battery, I like to turn it around and hold it here, and the battery just slips in. You push it and just goes right in. Just push it down. Okay, so I took these two screws off from here, this side of the doghouse and then the other side. And I want to see what's inside here to see the controller. So you squeeze it and then you pull it forward because there's a lip here that goes in here. Okay, so here's the flight control box. Your servos are going in here, pitch, aileron, and elevator. And then you have, if you have, mine came ready to fly with the radio, but you could also use your own radio. You can use a DSMX or an S-Bus. These are the pots for controlling the gyro. And then you have these are the wires going into, for the lights, red and green. The bind button, in case you wanted to use your own radio, is here, okay? Okay, so I took the 4 screws, 2 here, 1 here, and 1 here, and then on this side, there's another 2 on this side, okay? Took it apart to see what this battery is like. And you could tell that here they have the battery level, and then the connection to the on-off switch, and then the connection to for the light. This is the board for it. The ribbon goes up and connects into another board. This board basically connects into the what would normally be the balance port for each battery. So if you want to have your own battery at some point, you'd have to solder up the balancing plug on here. I'm not going to recommend doing this. I'm not going to recommend opening this and doing your own unless you know how to do soldering and are confident with Lipo batteries. But you could see that in order to, I mean, it's possible to, once this battery is finished and has its life, for you to replace it with another one similar size and do this. What I would recommend doing if you really want to not go this custom battery route is to basically just modify the helicopter from inside and get a XT30 connector to the ESC from inside the helicopter into the helicopter's battery compartment. And that would be basically here. We can look at it later, but that would be in there. Okay, so here's the inside of the battery compartment, and there are a bunch of wires that the battery basically hooks into. I don't know if you can see it. Okay, so what I would think, maybe, I haven't opened this, but maybe there's a better way. Instead of modifying the battery, if you really want to modify it, is to get a connector. You know, I'm sure the module here is very similar to this one. This is the E150. This is what you need. You need to separate the electronics and bring this out here and put some little minor Velcro or something, and you could put your battery in here. Also, you can probably take the current top of the battery and sort of make it fit so that you can have to, you know, cut this out a little bit so it slides in and can be basically cover for the battery. I mean, you could mod this up that way. I think that this is safer than modifying the battery itself, because obviously Lipo batteries are dangerous and they pose their own dangers. This helicopter is gorgeous. I can't wait to fly it. We'll have a video for the flying as well. But beautiful helicopter. Thank you, Eachine, for coming out with such a beautiful helicopter. I think the technology is at a point where you're going to be able to put out more scale helicopters. It's much simpler. You have 2 motors. You don't have vibrations. You don't have any of the old issues with helicopters. And I hope that you come out with some really cool ones like the EC-135, the Bell 222, and so on and so forth. A Bow 105, a Dolphin, you know, keep coming out with these beautiful helicopters.